sponsors and make some refrigerator art for the show. Show your support with your talent at canarycry.party. Your mom will thank you.
Yo, you curious about blockchain technology? Your boys Basil and Gons at CCNT have gone full crypto bro. Tune in to your favorite Sigma males and discover the world of blah blah blockchain. Don't miss out, fam. Join the ride and level up your crypto game.
Investing in cryptocurrency involves significant risk and can result in substantial or complete loss of funds. The information provided by CCNT, Basil and Gons is for educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Always conduct your own research and consult with a professional financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Razzle Dazzle, it's Body by Basil, the new exciting fitness craze that will get you Canary Cry swole in no time at all. Just listen to these quotes from our participants. My muscles are huge. It's all or Nephilim. You'll be an apocalypse warlord in no time. Don't wait. Order today and save 33% for just 4 easy payments of only $33.33. You too can have the body of a googly eye, VR headset wearing Nephilim warlord.
A new, raw deconstruction of news and analysis. Introducing Canary Cry News Stalk, the new intense fragrance made specifically for thinking outside the cage. From your favorite podcasters, Basil and Gons.
Gons, can you hear me? I'm hearing reports about a prototype Flippy arm.
Don't tell me. Flippy is coming for our jobs.
That's right. You know what this means.
Yeah, it's wake-up time. Think outside the cage.
What's going on, everybody? It's your best buddy Basil here, and you are here at the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. We're going to get the show started in just a couple minutes, about a little over 3 minutes. Imagine that. Thanks for being here. I am just trying my darndest to finish typing some numbers into a spreadsheet. Look at that. Look at that. I'm a regular office worker. What's going on? Who do we got here? We got Tinfoil Hat Man. We got Mrs. Tinfoil Hat Man. We got Seeker 1776. We got J Maya Man over there on the Rumble, on the YouTube. Panda Butt, Paul, Wheezy, Cullen, Lucky, Elio, Ernesto. It's everybody's here. The whole gang's here. Thanks for being here. All right. Excuse me. Getting my head on straight here. We got a great show today. Boy, oh boy, is it fun when we're right about things. When it takes 10 years to prove, it's a little annoying, but when it takes 24 hours, that's the fun part. But before we get into it, I want to let everybody know about the Canary Cry News Talk text message alert system. You're going to get unsubscribed. You're going to stop receiving notifications. You're going to be slowly but surely tricked into never thinking about us again. But a good way to take responsibility and put yourself in the what do they call the opportunity spectrum to make sure you don't lose the show. Go ahead and join the text message alert system. All you got to do is text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. Canary to 877-740-3226. I'll give you that number in a second again. But here's the thing. The fun part is you can text us back at that number. It's not monetized. We don't take any personal information. But we just let you know that a show starts a couple times a week. And you can text us back at that number. It's very fun. We can't carry on a conversation because it's very expensive for us. But people send messages, we read the messages. Sometimes we read them on the air. Like right now, 573 says, woot woot, it's Wednesday, my dudes. 206 says 2 thumbs way up. Thank you very much. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you're here now. 616 says, can't wait to watch later. Have a great show. Thank you very much, 616. 785 says, shout out to everyone on the CCNT Telegram. That's right, CCNT Telegram. Go to canarycry.party. It's a link tree. You'll see the button to join the Telegram. If you're a Telegram person, go do that. Get connected, folks. 661 says, thank you. Happy Wednesday. Thank you. 780 says a little wave emoji. Thank you very much. 787 says, Benedicion, Basil, and Gons from Puerto Rico. Pray you guys have a great show today. Thank you very much. I don't know why my reading voice went into slow robot, but 406, Ola from Cozumel. I'll catch you on the plane home. Have a great show. Monica, thank you very much, Monica. People are all over the world tuning in right now. That's fun. Merry festive Hanukkah Ternaliamas in Jesus' name. All right, 336, making it all happen. 623 says, hope you're having a great Wednesday. Lord bless. Well, Lord bless you. Last but not least, 678 says, I liked the show before I responded this time. Love y'all. Don't forget to like the show. Like the show, folks. One last one. 813 says, blessings to you, Basil and Gons from Philly. So, folks, join the text message alert system. Text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. Do it now. Let's start the show.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gons as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is December 9th, 2024. We are live to tape on episode 799. And today, the Willow Maker. And signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy Basil, and you, friend, are not crazy.
And my name is Gons, director of the Age of Deceit films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, with very cold fingers, live to tape from the land of Newscomb to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's emergent phenomenon, a quick breaking news story about the FBI.
A lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay?
Unindicted co-conspirators.
Yes.
Yeah, real quick. This just broke right before we went live, so I just thought I'd bring it because, why not? Christopher Wray, the FBI director, stepping down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big deal. Of course, Trump was threatening to replace him. It triggered a constitutional crisis in the media. But it turns out he just said, fine, I know what I'm not wanted, and stepped down himself. Very suspicious, if you ask me.
The timing is interesting. Does he not want to fight for his position here, or is he just? Because remember, was it the Atlantic who was writing about how, they got 10-year terms. They shouldn't be political, all that kind of stuff. Well, clearly it's been politicized over the last decade, or more than that.
Who knows? Maybe something went a little sideways in Syria, and he's
maybe
wiping his. I don't know. Maybe that could be it. I don't know.
Good call.
Yeah, interesting. Did they have any? Oh, you got a clip there. You want to play the clip?
I do, but it's just Fox reporting.
Go ahead.
It's a couple minutes. I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
You want to hear it?
Well, whatever you want. You're
okay.
The boss.
All right.
Well, I can't hear the clip. I don't know if you're playing it or not, but
you can't hear it.
No. Can chat hear it? Well, see, there you go.
No go then.
That's what happens. That's what happens. Yeah. The Lord has decided that we are not listening to the Fox clip about Christopher Wray. And who are we to disagree?
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything interesting going on? I mean, Gons, this is fun. We're going to have a little bit of fun. The first few minutes of the show, 20 minutes or so, this is going to be for the Canarians. If you're new to the show, you should listen up too. You can get a little taste of what to expect with your new life with Canary Cry. You might think you're just scrolling around, you clicked on a thing, somebody told you about it, you're like, oh, check it out. There's so much content. Who has the time? But the next 20 minutes will be a great example of why sticking around here is what you should do. Anything to say before we just jump right into it, Gons?
Let's jump right in. Shall we disclaim to get it going?
Disclaim.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up,
YouTube. That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys.
That's right. Let me give you a rundown. Yes.
Oh, no, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
All right, folks, we're just going to have some fun. We were right. We were right about Syria. We were right about the pallets of cash. We were right about the rebel groups. We were right about Luigi Mangione and his Pokemon and his header. It's all coming together, folks, and we'll have a look. It took about 24 hours for all of our predictions to come true, and that's why Canary Cry exists. Not to let you know what to think, but once you know how to think, you can pretty much predict the future with exquisite, targeting. But then we're checking in with the Pope. While all this is going around the world, the Pope is opening up 5 sacred portals. What does that mean for you, and what does that mean for the imprisoned demons deep below the Vatican? Checking in, speaking of imprisoned demons, we're checking in with Google's new quantum computer chip and a big headline regarding our next giant leap into the future. The conservatives going ahead and adopting their very first cyborg. John Fetterman has had quite the circuitous trip into the hearts and minds of conservatives around this country, and we'll catch you up to date there at the end of the show. The googly eyes, the movement, it's taken over the world, folks. Just another reason why to stay tuned in to Canary Cry News Talk. But first, Gons, let me take a second and thank our executive producers.
Executive producers.
That's right, folks. We are on the value for value model, which means we don't take any money from corporations, communists, or cartels. Nope, we are entirely funded by listeners of the show who receive value. Value for value is very simple. We're not kept alive by the necro-capitalistic implications of advertising dollars, consciousness hijacking, brainwashing, paid for by corporations, nor do we serve any NGOs or organizations that feel that our message just can't go away. No, we only exist because of producers just like you who get value from the show and they put value back in with their time, their talent, or their treasure. There's lots of ways to do it, whatever works for you, whatever the Lord is calling you for. But the executive producers, they are people who come in financially for $100 or more for any individual episode. And Gons, once again, we started with 0. Once we hit record, we had 0 executive producers. But once the text message started to arrive, once the email started to arrive, once the Lord started invading the space of our producers around the world, they answered the call and came in, and we want to thank them right now, starting with the one, the only executive producer, Felicia D.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you, Felicia D.
Felicia D comes in with a nice round number, and if you're new, if you produce the show for a nice round number, that's you telling us you'd prefer we do not disclose the amount, and so we won't. If you don't mind us disclosing the amount, you make it some sort of funky number, put some 33s or 77s or 1, 2, 3, 4. A good example is our next executive producer, Sir LX Protocol V2 Baron of the Berean Protocol.
Where'd you find this?
He comes in for $100 and 33 cents. Thank you. And of course, Sir Alex Protocol is on a 353 episode streak, and his new executive producer streak, he's up to 6 now, baby. He's on fire. You're on fire, Sir Alex Protocol. Very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Alex Protocol.
Last but not least, swooping in to save the day is we have executive producer Sir Jamie, not the Lannister.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you, Sir Jamie.
Thank you, Sir Jamie. Comes in with his weekly tithe, which we are just so blessed by God to be responsible to steward that holy sacrifice. Thank you very much, Sir Jamie.
Yeah, appreciate it.
That concludes our list of executive producers for the day. Thank you so much. If anybody's interested, there's still time to produce the show. You know, like I said, we're in the winter doldrums. We're in the December schlump, which is only, it's the only schlump in the month of December. Of course, there's the spring schlump, there's the summer schlump, there's the August schlump, and then there's the December schlump, which we are right there. But these executive producers and other producers around the world answering the call are helping us through. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you so much.
Go to canarycry.support to learn more.
Canarycry.support.
And one last thing, just before we start, don't press skip. People are loving the Canary Cry text message alert system. You're going to get unsubscribed without even knowing. You're going to stop receiving notifications. This is just how it is with us. And if you want to make sure that you do not succumb to the tiny room censorship, a diabolical and subtle seditious practice by the platforms, the big video platforms, social media platforms. If you want to take control of your own notifications, go ahead, text the word canary to 877-740-3226. Again, that's canary to 877-740-3226. I'll say it one more time in a second, but the fun part is it's not monetized. We don't take any personal information. You receive a text message before every show just to know that we're going live. And the fun part is you can text us back. We can't carry on a conversation with you because it's very expensive, but we do get all the messages. We do read all of them. In fact, we read a lot of them in the pre-show and perhaps even now in the show. For instance, 360 just texted and says, "Hello, Basil and Gons. You guys make our days just that much brighter. Y'all are the salt of the earth. Hang in there and rejoice, everyone, for the day of rapture comes." Amen. Wow, what a wonderful message. What a wonderful message.
So encouraging. Love it.
And 970 says, "Howdy, Canarium." So, see, folks, it's a fun time. Join the text message alert system. Text the word canary to 877-740-3226. All right, let's get to our lead stories, guys.
We are the canary in the coal mine.
The canary in the coal mine.
Called it.
Yeah, and we have been. We're the original recipe. Everybody, there's so many canary-themed, truthy things now, but, we've had our impact on the brand and on the minds of people waking up around the world. We're going to start out with some Called It, folks. It's just so much fun, so bear with us as we celebrate the way of thinking that Canary Cry has developed over the past 10 to 12 years, and how people who are hooked into this show, they are able to predict the future with uncanny precision. We'll start with Syria. You'll remember last episode. It was almost hard to get too excited about breaking it all down. Of course, there's so many things broken down now, but of course the obvious things that don't even need to be sort of pontificated on is, of course, that not only is the rebel group going to be funded and armed by probably the CIA, but perhaps both sides are going to be manufactured by the American government. And this includes the good old detail of the pallets of cash. We're starting out here. Just a headline. This is coming from Reuters.com. Says Syria Central Bank vaults left unscathed by Damascus looters. Oh, that's nice. Central bank reserves remain intact, handed to the new government. Central bank employees return to work after Assad's overthrow. IMF and St. Louis Fed last estimated reserves at $18 billion. The vaults in Syria's central banks were left unscathed by looters in the turmoil that briefly engulfed the capital, Damascus, after the overthrow of President Bashar al-Assad. A senior business leader and 3 other sources told Reuters. Syrian rebels had seized Damascus unopposed on Sunday after a lightning advance that sent Assad fleeing into Russia after a 13-year civil war. Now, we could go into the history of how this civil war is almost precisely the exact same gameplay by the American intelligence community that was perpetrated on Ukraine as well. Something to note geographically, Syria is sort of a gateway country, connects Iran, connects Ukraine, connects Israel, connects all sorts of important places in the area. But very interesting how the rebel group taking over the country and deposing the government said, oh, don't touch the money. Don't touch the central bank.
Do the people who raided all that stuff, did they even know how to get into the IMF and not the IMF, but the central bank vaults? I mean,
yes,
I
they
would
were
imagine
there.
they're protected.
They were there.
Yeah, but
they were there. Here's how you get into the central bank. You go to the central bank leader's house, you capture him, you hold a gun to his head, and have him open up the vault. You are a rebel group. The one thing that you guarantee that these groups would need.
What happened?
Did I go away? Hello? Okay, something's going on with Gons.
I've lost all audio. I don't know what's going on.
Gons has lost all audio. We can put this on the list. Let's go ahead and time code this one on the long list of things.
Can you hear me, Basil?
That just stopped working. I can hear you. I could always hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Quarter's still going.
Yeah, there you go. He's totally out. It's probably something like his headphones.
Very bizarre.
And he's talking. It's a very interesting choice he's making to just continue to ramble and talk.
I am going to step out and step back in, see if that helps.
You'd think, in some sort of
Can you hear me?
professional case.
Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, Basil?
I can hear you. Yes, I can. But
okay, you can hear me, but I can't hear you. All right, I'm going to step out and come back in.
See, this is how you know the show is not AI, folks. AI would certainly not have such a charming interaction and technical problems. This is why you come to the show. So Gons is going to leave. He's going to come back and perhaps maybe even seamlessly come back into the show in a way that is not as disruptive as it sort of insists on being before.
Audio.
I'm just going to go ahead and send him a little message that says, don't
I wonder what
ramble, please.
You can still hear me, Basil?
Do the show.
Okay. Well, apparently something is happening where I cannot hear anything. I can't hear Basil. I can't hear.
Need for
just go mute for a second.
To speak. There we go. Let's see here, folks. This is the fun part. I'm going to point my fingers in the direction of the private chat.
What? You want me to go away? What do you want me to do?
Yeah. This is really cool. Ridiculous. I'm actually going to turn off his microphone. There we go. He can figure that out. So where were we? We're talking about, well, long story short, turns out pallets of cash have started appearing. The rebel groups need some sort of reward. You can't, if they're being, guided by intelligence agencies, establishment interests. So strange how a Islamic extremist, a woke one, by the way, takes over a whole country and has no need for perhaps even billions of dollars that would be quote unquote rightfully theirs for taking over the country. But you know what? If you're getting pallets of cash delivered by the New York Federal Reserve, there is no need for you to loot the thing. This is popping up all around X. A video or a series of videos have been made available, allegedly from some individuals there in Damascus. And it reads here, after rebels seized control of the ousted President Bashar al-Assad in Syria, pallets of cash were found in government buildings across Damascus. Whoa, cool. Each pallet was labeled with a QR code, which then, when scanned, revealed an unexpected link to none other than the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. It makes you wonder who's funding this overthrow. And you can even go in the very first comment here. Somebody scanned the address, pulled up the link. Let me see. Maybe I would be able to send it to you. Let me see if I can make my screen available. Look at this. Share screen. Let's go ahead and share the screen of this right here. Like so. I'm going to put it up here. There we go. And right here, you can see someone scanned the QR code, and the link took them to the information to the website, and that is federalreserve.gov, New York, and then a bunch of sort of tracking numbers, and it says amount $98 million. So apparently there was a pallet of $98 million delivered directly from the New York Federal Reserve, which is very nice. And they left a QR code as a receipt. Isn't that kind of them? I mean, you got to track these things. The IRS is not going to let these Syrian extremist jihadist groups get away from paying their fair share. You know, if American millionaires, corporation CEOs, if they got to pay their fair share, then extremist jihadi groups armed and funded by the U.S. government must also pay their fair share. It's only fair, folks. All right. So that's number one. Called it. That's very nice. Oh, yes. And of course, the perhaps easiest call to make was the fact that there is no doubt in anybody's mind that the rebel group who has taken over the country was funded by American intelligence agencies, but more likely, most likely at least, more likely than not, I'll say, both sides have been funded by the American government. This particular article, which I'm going to bring up here, excuse me while I stall for just a moment. It's giving me a very aggressive paywall, so I'm not able to share it with you. I'm just going to go beep, bop, boop. Let me hack the mainframe. Here we go. Get past the firewall, jump over the flaming pit with spikes, duck and roll past the saw blades coming from the side of the hallway, use the top of a barrel to block the poisonous darts shooting out of the mouths of the statues. And here I'll share this tab like this. Boop. Here it is. In Syria, this is the Los Angeles Times. In Syria, militias armed by the Pentagon fight those armed by the CIA. Reporting from Amman, Jordan, Syrian militias armed by different parts of the U.S. war machine have begun to fight each other on the plains between the besieged city of Aleppo and the Turkish border. Excuse me, I apologize. This particular article is actually from March 27th of 2016. So this is giving the history of the particular militias involved and the just kind of example of the game plan, the playbook that we have seen play out over and over and over regarding, well, of course, rebel groups, deposed governments, newly installed governments, this sort of thing. So that's making the rounds. That's very fun. Now, that's not all, folks. It's not just Syria that we're able to call play-by-play. You'll remember Luigi Mangione, the man, the myth, the legend, the alleged United Healthcare CEO shooter. Well, it seems that we weren't the only one to notice the very strange inclusion of his Twitter headline image. You'll remember from last episode, it included a random Pokemon. Thank you to our chat for tracking down which Pokemon that was. I'm going to say If I remember, it's something like Shribloom or something like that. It's sort of a mushroom-themed Pokemon. Hold on one second. I'm getting some messages from Gons. He's saying, I don't know what's happening. I tried to reconnect my mixer. Nothing. Reattached cables. Nothing. I might have to do a hard reset, which might mess with the show. It might. That's true. You should be able to keep stream open, though. Hopefully it stays up on all the other outlets. It's probably not going to stay up on all the other outlets, but it's certainly staying up, I believe, on YouTube and Rumble, which is very convenient. Thank you very much. Yeah, Night of the Hungry Panda makes a great point here. Sorry, regarding the QR code on the Palace of Cash. Probably a great idea for nobody to actually scan those. A great way to track and compile lists of people who are the types of people who would be scanning a QR code on a pallet of cash, which of course will include individuals in the rebel factions taking over the country. It's good to be able to Pegasus invade their phones and spy on them, but probably anybody in the U.S. as well is going to be put on some sort of list. J. Mayaman says, so you're basically saying the U.S. CIA is Senator Palpatine. They have a lot in common. All right, thank you, Psalm 40, giving me the name of the Pokemon. It is Pokemon Breloom. Breloom, that's right. Let's get into it here. Luigi Mangione, 286 riddle, exposed as denial code. Pokemon and Bible, quote, point to murder. Now, whether or not this is the actual guy who committed the crimes, we do not know. There's very suspicious inconsistencies with the various pictures that they have put out about him. For the most part, people aren't quite buying it. The fact that he was caught at a McDonald's with his ghost gun, his silencer, his manifesto in hand, just brought it for breakfast. When the police arrived and got him. Dissecting this fella has been a wonderful pastime of the online community. But the one thing that stood out to us more than anything else was his extremely strange X headline image. In fact, I should probably pull it up. Let me see. It certainly won't be too hard to find. One thing that is highly unusual about this entire thing is that this fella and his online persona, or I don't know, records, were not taken down immediately. Almost every other criminal who has been involved in some sort of national story, all of their social media is instantly taken down. So here's his headline image. It starts with this Breloom Pokemon, very random. I don't know. The guy doesn't seem like a Pokemon fan. As you can see, he has his X-ray that shows all of his back injuries, all of the pins in his back and such. And on the far right, you see just an incredibly hunky man wearing a backpack, probably hiking in Hawaii or something like that. So that's the images that we're talking about here. Let me jump back over to the article. Internet sleuths are convinced a trail of breadcrumbs may have been left by the suspect detained in connection with the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Luigi Mangione was arrested in a McDonald's, again, the McDonald's connection, very strange, in Altoona, Pennsylvania on Monday, with prosecutors in Manhattan filing for murder and other charges after he appeared in court for weapons and forgery charges in PA. Yeah, some developments since Monday. He was originally just being charged for, having a ghost gun and having some fake IDs. Since then, he has officially been charged in the murder case. Most of the social accounts belonging to Mangione, who said violence is necessary to survive in a chilling post, have been taken down, but online users are still trying to glean insight into a possible motive. I disagree that most of his social accounts have been brought down. I don't know I mean, I don't know, maybe by the numbers, but it's very odd that the X account is still up. As of Monday night, the only profile of Mangione's that remains active is his X account, where a banner photo shows a photo of Mangione, an X-ray of spine with screws in, and a Pokemon. So, again, another very strange, I mean, everything about this whole guy is very strange, but even stranger is the fact that, sure, all the other social got taken down, but the one that apparently has some sort of coded message is left up. Of course, the psyop goes deep, folks. Digging further, some armchair detectives have pointed out that the Pokemon in question is Breloom, which has the Pokédex number 286. I believe, I don't remember if Sir Darren gave us that information. He probably did. While it may just be Mangione's favorite character, some sleuths have pointed out that the number 286 is linked to many aspects of the case. Mangione has exactly 286 posts on his X account and was found in a McDonald's in Altoona, which is exactly 286 miles away from the Thompson murder scene outside a Hilton Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. Well, we can jump over here to his X account and we can confirm. Oops. Yeah, there we go. We can confirm. You can see right here the man up at the top by his name here. Sorry, it's so small on the screen. He has 286 posts on his X account. The dude also has gone up to 400,000 followers. He had like a couple hundred before. So the psyop, again, is very strong with this one. If that wasn't strange enough, there's a link within the Bible, as Proverbs 28:6 states, quote, "Better is a poor man who walks in his integrity than a rich man who is crooked in his ways." And of course, this has sort of connected in people's minds regarding this motivation and the dynamic of this fella. I don't know if we could describe him as a poor man, but perhaps, I don't know what his bank account says, walking in his integrity. I guess in this case, somebody's trying to imply that murder is within this fella's integrity. Than a rich man who is crooked in his ways. Of course, a reference to a healthcare CEO. Mangione's disdain for the medical insurance industry has been well documented. He has, as he referred to, quote, parasites who simply had it coming, in a 3-page handwritten document in his possession. Brought it to McDonald's. Good. Then, perhaps the most darning of all, 286 is a denial code used by healthcare providers when the appeal time limits for a claim have not been met. This means that the healthcare provider or the billing entity did not submit an appeal within the specified time frame after receiving a denial for a claim. So the claim is denied based on the failure to meet the required appeal deadline. Now, here's the thing, folks. There I go again. I didn't even mean to say that. But here's the thing, folks. Of course, we know that there are principalities, powers, and worldly governors with whom we struggle more than anything else. Of course, our own sinful nature is included in that list. But it is very clear that there are things going on in the spiritual realm that are beyond our ability to perceive in the same ways we perceive things in our physical realm here. So we know that when coincidences like this line up, it very well could be a product of an unimaginable series of events, a web of divine intentions, interventions, and clues to help lead mere mortals. Or perhaps it's just a trail of breadcrumbs, a trail of clues, if you will, a water bottle, a backpack with Monopoly money, etc., etc., that is left there for the discerning, the spiritually discerning, to follow. And I think the reason I am pointing out the sort of spiritually discerning aspect of it is the mainstream media reference to the Bible verse. This is obviously something that the social media, the online sleuths, as they're put here, are looking at in some sort of spiritual context, which is a big sort of revolution in current mass media that used to be relegated to fringe, strange little podcasts, but it has become a broader practice now to search the scriptures for clues to what's going on in this reality, in this version of reality, this realm, or perhaps even this illusion. And for those who like to play around with the idea of the simulation, I mean, it's very much like a video game. I don't know if y'all played, I mean, if you're old school, maybe you played like Riven, sort of a clue following game. Robot City was a very similar clue following game. Very boring games, extremely boring games. Old, like 90s PC games. But for those with a mind to decode things, to follow clues, to look at the subtle details of a situation, you know, I would say almost games like Riven or Myst are a little bit more on the Gen X side, but certainly the elder millennials will remember these games as well. And if you're someone whose interest borders on the idea of simulation, reality being a simulation, whether it's an AI thing or whether it's the mind of God or whether it's simply the spiritual mechanics that God has put in place to keep our perspective sort of cohesive moment to moment in this weird reality that we live in, these types of clues certainly give a very compelling case that something more is going on. And that could go two ways. Either one, intentionally by the creators of the PSYOP, some sort of illusory magician at the top levels of whatever, making sure that all these pieces fall into place in hopes that the public at large will find some sort of series of clues to lead them to a useful mindset for whatever broader plan is ruling this realm. Or perhaps it's simply the man himself, Luigi Mangione, obsessing, spending lots of time making sure all these details are precisely put in place to, I don't know, to make a point or something like that. Whatever the case may be, it is very strange. It goes on here. Many online sleuths are convinced this is more than just a coincidence. Quote, what if there's more to it? Luigi Mangione had 286 seemed to go hand in hand with literally everything. Number 286 is more than just a number, wrote Yobo on X. User Sam asked, quote, can somebody please explain the connection between the 286 and Luigi Mangione? Because this is all way too much of a coincidence at this point. The conspiracy theory is picking up traction online as people try to dig into the motivations behind the suspected shooter. Once notable post he allegedly made on Goodreads was a review of Unabomber Ted Kaczynski's manifesto, quote, Industrial Society and Its Future. Another reference to Ted Kaczynski. Now, you'll remember last episode, The Atlantic, writing its first article about this fella, or its notable one, saying, you know, the murderer understood the surveillance state. They also made some allusions to Ted Kaczynski, but this was before they made no connection between them. This was a notable part of the article. They randomly talked about the Unabomber and his manifesto and his ideas, but they did not make a connection. They did not say, oh, he posted about it on Goodreads, or oh, he was interested in it, or oh, he referenced it in a thing. They didn't make that connect. So whether that is yet another coincidence sort of manifesting in the whole thing, or the Atlantic was just being sort of disingenuous about making the connection. Both are, I think, equally possible. It goes on, quote, it's easy to quickly and thoughtlessly write this off as the manifesto of a lunatic in order to avoid facing some of the uncomfortable problems it identifies, but it's simply impossible to ignore how prescient many of his predictions about modern society turned out, Mangione allegedly wrote on Goodreads. That's not even like a glowing, that's just like the Wikipedia of Ted Kaczynski's manifesto. I don't know if it's very supportive or not. I mean, he's just saying A lot of things that Ted put in his manifesto are prescient today. Quote, he was a violent individual. He's still talking about Ted. He was a violent individual rightfully imprisoned who maimed innocent people. While these actions tend to be characterized as those of a crazy Luddite, however, they are more accurately seen as those of an extreme political revolutionary. Uh-oh, Professor Ted. Mangioni's Goodreads profile also included a number of quotes from various books, including Dr. Seuss' quote, The Lorax, with the most famous quote posted, quote, unless someone like me cares a whole awful lot, nothing's ever going to get better. It's not. Thanks, Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss and the Unabomber Professor Ted Kaczynski. That's a recipe. Apparently, we are... it's kind of a online, it's an online, I don't know, joke, but also of particular interest to law enforcement. Like, how exactly does someone get radicalized? How exactly do they get radicalized in a way that they go from normal, successful, smart, good-looking student to murderer, lunatic, etc., whatever you want to call this guy? Well, in this case, the road to radicalization was, I guess, unsurprisingly, Ted Kaczynski's manifesto, but sprinkle a little Dr. Seuss in there, and you've got a particularly relevant 26-year-old psychopath. 26. I believe that's Gen Z. I think we have Gen Z. Now, let me finish this, and I want to bring up one other interesting thing about Ted as Gons continues to fix his problems here. It says, Mangione was arraigned and ordered held without bail during a brief court hearing. Asked if he needed a public defender. He asked if he could, quote, answer that at a future date. That's interesting. He eventually will be extradited to New York to face charges in connections with Thompson's death. NYPD Chief of Detectives Joseph Kenney said police found a 3-page document. Now, I've heard 2 pages, I've heard 3 pages. So I don't know if it's important, but just pointing out the inconsistency there. Police found a 3-page document with writing suggesting that Mangione had, quote, ill will towards corporate America. Oh, surprise, surprise, Kenny said. The handwritten document, quote, speaks to both his motivation and mindset, NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch said. All right. Now, let me bring something else up that has been making the rounds. May or may not be the most important thing, but at least in the narrative conversation, which, of course, here at this show, we recognize and perhaps even theorize that more important than actual physical events are the ways in which those events are presented, how they are wielded in the public realm, how they are used to affect not just change in the world, but the categorization, the mind control, the social engineering, all of these things. One of the things that came out about this guy regarding, I think it came from his friend or maybe a collection of some Facebook posts, is that, of course, as is shown in his Twitter headline, very serious back injury. Extremely serious back injury. I think it's interesting to juxtapose that with the third picture on his Twitter head profile thing, which shows he's wearing a backpack hiking to the top of a mountain in Hawaii. You would never guess that this individual had some very serious back problems. But one of the details about his back problems is that, very specifically, his back problems were so bad that they prevented him from being intimate with anyone. And this brings up a conversation about incels. We've seen in the past few years, of course, incels being categorized as sort of a version of domestic extremists. They're on the list of the FBI. Incels, for those who don't know, is a portmanteau for involuntarily celibate. These are men who are celibate not by choice. Usually the image of an incel is, someone who maybe doesn't get out much, who maybe doesn't take care of themselves very well, maybe someone who is hasn't been exposed to the proper social interactions that would give them an opportunity how to learn to charm and or woo someone of the opposite sex. So this is without getting into the mean ways people describe incels. This is kind of the way that it's understood. Now, incels have been reported to be like they're the assumed criminals. People assume that every shooter is an incel. They assume that every psychopath is an incel, and sometimes they are. That undeniably, sometimes they are. And in fact, one interesting aspect of this. So you have this fella through a medical condition, one that obviously gave him bad interactions with the American healthcare system, Code 286, the timing out of his appeal, the la 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 la. We're, of course, going to learn all the details with that. So that's one version of incel. It's not your classic version of incel, especially this fella who's totally jacked, good-looking fella, and indeed has inspired lots of crushes from individuals online of all sorts of gender expressions. So it's already unusual, but does fit that description. Another description of incels, or another version of incels, and this one we've talked about before and is equally as, unsuspected, are members of the trans community. Depending on the degree of what they call gender-affirming care, sex change operations, hormones, whatever it is, depending on the degree of that, trans people generally lose sexual function. If a child is put on hormones way too early and kept on hormones, their sexual development just is non-existent. People, of course, who have certain surgeries are more or less rendered sexually impotent without the, first of all, just the nerves required don't exist anymore, and the mechanics of what they have instead are more aesthetic than anything else. Not to say that there isn't some sort of emotional benefit to the act. Certainly that is something. But as far as the major details of that procedure goes, they essentially become a version of an incel as well. And I only make this comparison because, as we know, an unusually high number of recent shooters have been members of the trans community. So we do have this kind of very strange through line developing in the narrative. And here we have just one more version of an incel committing some sort of thing. Who knows why? I do not know why. I mean, I could make all sorts of educated guesses, the very least of which, probably least insightful of which, is that, yeah, if somebody is involuntarily celibate, they probably have a lot of time on their hands to think of all sorts of other strange ways to assert themselves in this world. But that's just a very interesting way that the storyline of this fella, is absolutely ludicrous. And also, it's just fake. It's just all fake. And I don't know if it's literally fake, but it is certainly fake. And the psyop is strong around every corner. There's not a single detail that does not seem to be an aspect of some sort of psyop. Now, there would be no way for us to accurately predict exactly what the outcome is supposed to be, but we can judge a tree by its fruit. Just a little update here. Gon says, I still can't hear anything.
No, I'm good. I could hear you. I'm back.
Oh, well, he's back. There we go.
Yep.
Okay, he's just been...
Yeah, that message was
just been
10
listening
minutes ago.
to the show. He's just enjoying the breakdown. Gons, do you have anything to add to the conversation?
I don't know. I didn't hear half of it. I only heard as much as when I came back in the last few minutes here. So, But obviously you probably went through the whole article there, the 286 riddle and Pokemon. And
Yep. Was there anything that was swirling around your mind before the show?
Well, just a couple notes about 286. The number, if you collapse it down, if you just separate each number and add it together, and then you get 16. You collapse that again, you get 7. If you try to dwindle it down to a single digit, and of course 7 has a lot of spiritual or biblical implications. A lot of mystics use that number for some kind of progress towards deity. And then if you separate the individual digits according to the occult and esoteric folks, 2 represents cooperation, balance, and duality in relationship. 8 represents power, material success, abundance, and karmic balance. And 6 represents harmony, nurturing, family, and responsibility. And some people reference 286 as an angel number. Like every number is an angel number, right? You can
Of course.
derive anything from any number really when it comes to angel numbers. But some folks suggest that angel numbers is about spiritual and material alignment and balancing ambition and compassion. And according to a tarot, the tarot system, like tarot cards, the reduced number 7 is the chariot card, symbolizing control, determination, and moving forward, which, symbolically, this whole thing can represent a progression towards a new type of everything. I mean, new media type of breakdown, new ops, new systems of infrastructure for our healthcare. A lot of things can be symbolized by this.
Yeah.
But
There was also the code 286 was the healthcare code for a timeout of the appeal. Just real quick, let me see if I can pop this up here. So people are putting together more compilations of 286 stuff.
Sure.
Allegedly, somebody says here his McDonald's receipt was for a coffee, which totaled $2.86. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know
Show
about
me
that.
the
Coffee
receipt.
costs like
Show me the
$7.
receipt.
Coffee is way more expensive at McDonald's.
I don't know about that, but I hear you. Let's see here. I'm seeing if there's anything else that came out here.
Did you talk about the Pokemon stuff?
Yes, talked about the Pokemon stuff.
Okay.
20. Okay, so if you use the now people are kind of stretching a little bit, but if you use the European way of writing the date, which is day 1st, month 2nd, June 28th, 28/6, 286 is National Insurance Day, allegedly. Elon's book, Born 286, I don't know about that. 286 Spotify followers, allegedly. Okay. I don't know. Got to find this guy's Spotify.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's, did they have screenshots or something? Or
Yeah, let me give you this. Hold on here. Let me go like this. It's hard. I don't know if
I'm looking at it.
I don't know if I can zoom in very well, is what I'm trying to say. So they do have a McDonald's receipt in the bottom left hand that shows somebody buy
the
one
coffee.
coffee.
286,
Okay. Let's see here. Nino Mangione. I don't know who that is. Friends.
Does all this sound like, or look like, or feel like, I don't know, like meat thrown at a hungry pack of wolves or something, just like something to distract, every citizen journalist to go down rabbit holes on the number and the whole thing. Like, I almost feel like that's the trick, is getting everybody to look into stuff when something else is going on,
Yeah, well, that's kind of the thing, is there's obviously endless possibilities. Either the sort of spiritual mechanics, whatever God has planned, he's laying these little breadcrumbs for a reason, or the simulation just has repeating numbers coded into the game being played, or it's a very well planned out psyop to get everybody hyper engaged into researching this and paying attention to this instead of something else. Authorities stated that there was $286 worth of Monopoly money. So
yep, that's right. There was a Monopoly money in the backpack, allegedly, right?
Yeah, I don't have an exact source for this, but this is something that's being shared on this social media. Yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. If nothing else, it's caught everybody's attention. If nothing else, it might lead people to suspecting that there is something more going on, either spiritually or in the sort of psyop-y sense.
Was he an avid Pokemon player? Is that, or was he just influenced by Pokemon in some way?
I have not heard or seen anything else about that. I mean, they don't
Other
really.
than this article?
I have
and
not seen
just-
anybody say like he loved Pokemon. Even the article itself was like, I don't know, maybe it was his favorite Pokemon, or maybe it was the clue or something. But nobody is like, whoa, look at his high score on Pokemon Go. Whoa, look at he played 286 hours of Pokemon. I don't know, whatever. Really not seeing any other references to it. But
He's a mushroom-based character there, the number 286.
yeah, there was
Pokemon.
something else allegedly that he had been, a fan of or experimenting with or whatever.
Oh, listen to this.
Magic mushrooms. So
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
little
The
connection.
Breloom is inspired by mushrooms, specifically those with spores that have mysterious or mind-altering properties, like hallucinogenic fungi or parasitic mushrooms.
Mhm.
Yeah, sounds about right. They're
Yeah.
they're just the pharmakia of this whole thing. The sorcery
Yes.
is pretty strong through and through. Whether it's the mainstream reporting on it with this number, or the population, I don't know, of young females like oozing after him, or whatever it may be. It's definitely an interesting psyop for sure.
Yeah. Here's an interesting detail somebody is pointing out. It says community note fail, and it's referring to this community note on a similar, I'll give it to you here, on a similar post, one of the ones that pointed out all this stuff. The 286 miles away, the McDonald's from the murder site,
Yeah.
is pointed out. A community notes says the Altoona, PA McDonald's is 279 miles away from the New York Hilton.
That just
Straight line
depends on where
distance.
you put that red pin. That's
So,
just
and they also point
user
out
error.
denial codes are standardized and have been defined. Okay, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But the point this person makes is it doesn't matter if the McDonald's was 279 miles away or 2,000 miles away. What matters is the news reported it
Yeah, good
as
point.
286 miles away. This person thinks like a canary, and I'll tell them that.
Yep.
Yeah, the details
Yeah, you
barely
got bad
matter.
words on the
It's-
screen, Basil. Let's take that off there.
Yeah, well, it's the internet. What are you gonna do?
There is some after effects. I just run through just a couple headlines. We're not going to read these, but real quick. New York Post talking about inside Luigi Maggione's extremely wealthy family that's been dubbed beloved Baltimore royalty. It's a shock for all of us. So apparently he comes from a wealthy family in Baltimore. And then the other thing that I believe is sort of the, I don't know, the second act of the psyop here is the fear factor of all current CEOs of stuff. This is dailymail.co.uk. Dystopian wanted posters of top health CEOs appear in New York City. There's like the picture of the guy that was killed with with the face crossed off, but then there's another lady from another healthcare company CEO, so like a wanted poster type thing.
Yeah.
And then you also have ABC News reporting executive hit lists and wanted posters. NYPD warns about threats to executives. So I think there's something a lot more going on here with a systematic teardown. And if you've been with us long enough, we've ranted, or I've ranted anyway, about how Manly P. Hall, one of the greatest Freemasonic occultists of our time, in the 1990s, in his last lecture, spoke about how in the 21st century, just like the Crusades, we will have a cleanup job where all the corruption will be exposed and everything will be cleaned up, the governments, the leaders, and all this stuff. And it's probably going to be pretty ugly, right? I mean, you would imagine with the way Trump has been talking about draining the swamp for years, the process is kind of ugly. I'm wondering if this is some kind of controlled rollout of all that, and having some kind of fear narrative that the mainstream can hold on to that, garners sympathy from the general public. Like, they're bad people. They, whatever, bad corporations. We can agree with that. Trust for the government, trust for institutions at an all-time low. but they're human. These people are just human beings. We don't want any CEOs getting shot or die or anything. It reinforces some of that old extremist stuff. So that's why I think the mainstream loves it. But also all the occult angles.
That's why we need AI to be CEOs. Human CEOs should be
Yeah,
illegal.
that's a good
Should be
point
illegal.
too.
No
Yeah.
human should be in charge of such a big thing. There should be.
Yeah.
Let
Agree.
the robots do it.
Agree that is a thing. Okay. Time is of the essence here.
Yep.
Especially when portals are opening.
Space Pope Reptilian.
This is coming from metro.co.uk. The headline here, Vatican to open 5 sacred portals for once in quarter-century ritual, which, Basil, there's certain things that make me feel very old. One of them is that's been knocking around in my head the last couple weeks, which is that in a few days, the year 2000 will be a quarter of a century ago, which is just my brain doesn't compute with that. But anyway, it says here, Pope Francis is preparing to unbrick and open 5 sacred portals symbolizing the doorway to salvation. The doors are only opened once every 25 years, so may well be a little rusty. This year, for the first time, one of the doors will be opened in a prison. For the first time. Interesting. Okay. This year, for the first time, one of the doors will be opened in a prison as a, quote, sign inviting prisoners to look to the future with hope, which is the most confusing thing. Is Pope Francis inviting prisoners to go into the prison? Or is this a metaphorical invitation of, hey, the prison door's open, be free, have hope for the future? It sounds like he's opening he has the keys to the abyss, and he's opening up the abyss. That's what it sounds like. The Pope said in his bull of indiction announcing this year's ceremony. The tradition.
What does this mean, opening portals? I don't know.
I mean, what's interesting? I kind of feel like metro.co.uk they know the key words where people are going to click. A lot of these sort of quasi-mainstream outlets have become more and more fringy.
You don't think that the Vatican calls them portals?
Might.
It sounds like
it sounds like they do. Yeah,
do.
I mean, I don't know what the Latin word they use, but perhaps it means portal. It says here the tradition dates back to 1300. And the door openings themselves follow a ritual carried out in 1423. They mark Jubilee years, a concept dating back to the Old Testament when sinners could see their sins forgiven. It's the Jubilee thing is also very interesting in the time we're in, because they had the Jubilee, every 7 years, right? A lot of stuff was forgiven, whatnot. And now we're entering this time of a cleanup job. 2025 is one such year. So if you got something on your mind, it could be a good time to confess. That's what it says. It says here, where are the sacred portals? Well, there's one at St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican. There's St. John the Lateran in Rome, St. Mary Major in Rome, St. Paul outside the walls in Rome, Rebibbia prison in Rome, a first-time edition. So that's where this new thing is happening, this new portal opening from the prison in Rome. By the way, just as a side note, have you noticed, Basil, all the Rome talk from like Elon and a lot of ex-folk who are, all about Elon and the rise of technopopulism and sort of leaning into the conservatism. I saw Doge designer, people on X are like
a lot of new Rome type of stuff.
Yeah, like, oh, we're rebuilding Rome. And then Elon's like, I've been thinking about Rome a lot. There's not a day that goes by where I don't think about Rome. And I'm going, whoa, man, this is like all the Bible prophecy people saying the beast, the second beast, or the first beast is the return of Rome. I mean, they're just like outright saying like, oh, we're going to rebuild Rome. Mm-hmm. But anyway, the doors of the basilicas have been bricked up from the inside. The walls will be taken down before the Pope walks through them to symbolize the beginning of the Holy Year. They will remain open all year for pilgrims to pass through until the Jubilee finishes on January 6th, 2026. The portal is going to be open all year next year, Basil. Can you imagine what's going to happen?
It's so bizarre. I mean, it's like there's nothing more like occult and magical. Apparently, there's doorways that have been bricked up all over the place, and the Vatican
come on.
every 25 years goes around and unbricks the door. Like, hello, this is setting the prisoners free, or maybe setting the demons free from the, their chains of the abyss. I don't know. It is very strange.
Well, obviously, the word portal, you can apply it in many different ways. You can think of it as just a walkway, like a hallway or something like that. And obviously, the Vatican is taking it with a spiritual significance or interpretation. It's a symbolic thing, which we know that, in the occult and magic and stuff, a lot of it is symbolic. And, of course, in religious, just religious traditions, a lot of things are, the ritual and stuff are not all negative. It's not that it's all negative, but whenever it's in the name of Christ, but also not really reflecting Christ, it's always kind of a little suspicious. There's also a lot of mythology and esoteric ideas about portals. There's a lot of people that have written on, there's underground passageways in the Vatican, and not only do they lead to documents that have been hidden from the general public, but perhaps, portals into other dimensions and things of that nature, which, of course, is always a possibility. And, just keeping in mind, once they open this, they will not be opened again until the year 2050. So it's we'll be old men by then, Basil. We'll be just kind of curmudgeon by that point, I think. But if the Lord even allows us to be around that long. Pope Francis said he hoped the Jubilee would be a moment of genuine personal encounter with the Lord Jesus, the door of our salvation. And so there you go. He gets into some other stuff. But yeah, kind of interesting. Yeah, just a portal to a prison, just an addition and a message to prisoners, which is kind of funny too. Like, does he know that we are all under some kind of, not just the prison of a fallen world, but also, kind of like an economic and I don't know, like a quasi supernatural spiritual prison that we're kind of in the cage, So anyway, just an interesting development, I would say, and we'll keep an eye on it. And yeah, hey, the portal is going to be open for a year, folks. Keep your eyes peeled. Head on a swivel.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
Okay, let's take a second. We got a handful of producers who came in to produce the show. We want to make sure
Mouse
to thank them.
stopped working. Oh my gosh, Clank is probably his head is falling off.
Time code.
Yeah.
He did respond to that request. He says
I know,
it's possible,
I saw
but
that.
that is
I saw.
There's just too many. It's impossible.
I know it's too many. We need a keyword.
Knows?
We need a keyword for him to be able to search the text.
I mean, I think not working. I think everything I think not working will be able to search the transcripts. But let's take a second and thank some producers who came in to support this show.
Got it.
Here we go. Like I said, folks, is the value for value model. If you get any value, put value back in. It's easily something to ignore. It's easily something that you feel doesn't apply to you, and in a way, it doesn't apply to everybody. Not everybody gets value from the show. I don't know what you're doing here, but it's a revolutionary idea. The idea that somebody could be responsible for keeping the media that they get value from alive themselves. We're so used to having corporations or governments or organizations pay for all the media, and look where that's gotten us. But we got producers that come in with their time, their talent, or their treasure. You can go to canarycry.support to learn more. Let's see here. I'm going to start with, I didn't put the number in there. What am I thinking? I'll start with producer Elio.
Elio, thank you very much.
Elio came in for $7.77 and is on a, how big is the streak? It's a streak. She's on a streak.
She's on a streak.
48
and I would
episodes, 48 episodes in a row.
I would play it if my computer worked over here.
Okay.
Jingle board completely frozen. Awesome.
She's on a streak.
On a streak.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Next up, we got producer Mark A. came in.
Hey, Mark A. Good to see you.
I believe it was a nice round number. It's hard to tell. He came in with the fees as well, so we appreciate that. Mark says, Shalom, boys. I just wanted to check back in with a praise report and a huge thank you to all the producers. About a month ago, I wrote in with a prayer request for my daughter because doctors were telling us that she could be going through precocious puberty. I remember that. Well, her lab results came back, and the doctor said that her results look good. Praise God. Thank you, Jesus, for everyone who prayed for her. Thanks, Basil and Gons, for this podcast and the community Yin's created. I do not attend regular Sunday services, so without this podcast, I wouldn't have had many people praying for her. Thanks again, Mark A. and family. Well, thank you very much, producer Mark A. Thank you for sharing that praise report. That's we recommend everybody do that. And big shout out to all the producers out there who make it their business to pay attention and to pray for the prayer requests that come in from producers, pray for the show, pray for Gons and I. It's all very important, perhaps even the most important. Next up, we've got producer Sir Marty K, not of the wrong timeline.
Thank you, Sir Marty K.
Yeah, who came in for $33.99.
33, I guess that's a 33. Hold on, let me see if I can get this to work now. It looks like it moved.
Illuminatus!
There we go.
And this is in response to his werewolf adventures. He says, lol, the only reason you Americans find it sus being outside after dark is because you have devolved into couch people. From late October, it is pitch black in Denmark from about 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. So you can see the full moon after dinner, Norwegian. And I have befriended a flock of sheep, and I always go by after dark to see if they are all right, because November and December are the time when animals begins to disappear. Especially cats. Look at the receipts before or after the stream, or I'm going to haunt you forever. Okay, we will look at those receipts before and or after. Thank you very much, and good luck. Keep us posted on the sheep. Now, I'm kind of invested in this flock of sheep now, so keep protecting them and keep us posted.
Yep, thank you very much.
Next up, we got producer Clank. Clank came in.
Hey, Clank. Thank you, Clank.
Yeah, for 1111. And Clank says, so I was reading the mail, and there was a call for treasure, and we need CCNT to stay around and continue to annoy the lizard people. In all seriousness, I wish the Canarium many blessings from the Netherlands, Clankanifius.
Hey, thank you
all
very
these
much.
Denmarkians, the Netherlandsans, and Clank sent a very informational email to help us distinguish between the Netherlands and Denmark.
Yeah, we seem to have that problem over and over again.
We are unable to solidify.
Us Americans.
Yeah, we are unable to solidify the difference between them. So it was very helpful. Thank you, Clank.
Yep.
Last but not least here, I think we had producer Katarina come in for 1111.
Oops, Katarina, thank you. 1111.
11.
Yeah, Katarina says, there's no need to read this on the air unless you're drawn to. It's short. I think I will. I recently had a stroke at age 47 and have been dealing with all the fun things you can imagine would accompany that. Our awesome Lord, amazing prayer warriors, you guys, and some 1111s are making today great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, we'll keep you in our prayers, Katarina. That's very unfortunate. That is way too young for something like that to happen. Okay, as far as I could tell, that is the conclusion of our financial producers who came in above the $7.77 mark. For the sake of time, those who came in under the $7.77 mark, they have been notated. Your streaks are going. I got you on the list, and we'll thank you when we have more time. And remember, folks, time, talent, or treasure is all very important ways to keep this show alive. You can go to canarycry.support to learn more.
Yes, sir.
Canarycry.support.
Okay. What are we doing? What's next here?
Let's see here. You're going to have to
check
pick
here.
up babies. We got either Fetterman or Googly Eyes.
Oh, we're dropping quantum computer altogether.
Oh,
huh?
yeah. You could do that if you want.
Let's do that.
Wow.
Yeah, this is coming from Newsweek.com, and the headline is Google says its new quantum chip may prove parallel universes exist.
Oh, of course.
A good timing, when they're opening the portal at the Vatican. They start suggesting there are parallel universes. I don't know. There seems to be an alignment going on there. Google's latest breakthrough in quantum computing, the WILLOW chip, is reigniting discussions among the scientific community about the possibility of parallel universes. Harmut Nevin, the founder and lead of Google Quantum AI, stated this week that WILLOW's extraordinary performance, capable of performing in minutes tasks that would take supercomputers billions of years, could be explained by the concept of parallel universes. Quote, the performance of the WILLOW chip was so phenomenally fast that it had to have borrowed, in quotes, the computation from parallel universes, end quote, Nevin said in a blog post on Google's website. Now, it's one thing for just some quack on the internet to say like, oh, quantum computers are going to tap into some other reality and da-da-da. But, if you've been with us, they've been talking about, like, especially CERN, they've been talking about tapping into this other realm for a long time. Like, we should be able to tap into this other realm. And the parallel universe or the multiverse theory has been commercialized and externalized for the masses. It's a very common thing to hear people say, oh, we live in a simulation. Oh, we live in a multiverse, that kind of thing.
It's a very important aspect of quote unquote science because it's one thing for a theoretician or a mathematician or something to say that something is possible. But there's a next step after some weird theory like that, where they implement the theory to make technology work.
Right.
If technology is working off of the theory, it's generally considered to be true or true enough. That's sort of the mindset of the intellectually honest scientists and engineers. There's lots of examples of this. I mean, one of them is quantum entanglement, which was more or less just kind of like a theory, kind of a parlor trick of science and da-da-da-da. But when it's then able to be implemented into quantum communication, or something like that, it no longer is in the realm of like, ooh, weird science. It's like, oh no, there's the device that actually works on this principle, and that's
right.
It's like this weird manifestation.
Yeah, and truly, it is the unseen realm. I mean, if we're really being honest or biblical about it, the idea that parallel universes may play a role in quantum computing isn't new. But Nevin's statement marked the first time a major tech executive linked his company's achievements to the multiverse theory. I think that's the key here. This is the news, I guess. According to Nevin, a chip performed a computational task that would take one of today's fastest supercomputers 10 septillion years in under 5 minutes. Quote, this mind-boggling number exceeds known timescales in physics and vastly exceeds the age of the universe, end quote, Nevin wrote. He even suggested that it, quote, lends credence to the notion that quantum computation occurs in many parallel universes in line with the idea that we live in a multiverse. So, it's one, you think you're right. There's one thing to have it sort of be commercialized in, Marvel movies or something, but it's a whole different level.
Or something.
Yeah, it's a narrative. It's a whole different level when Google execs are coming out and saying, hey, we got it to work. I mean, the only explanation is the multiverse. It's like, whoa, dude, okay.
Yeah, our technology only works because there are other dimensions to pull.
Right. I mean, and truly, you hear all these quantum physicists and scientists and stuff, and and this is why I think the reenchantment is occurring, where the material, and I've said this for a few years now, almost 10 years, that materialism failed. Like, philosophically, it failed. It failed at the academic levels, in the highest order. And, atheism and materialism, those arguments failed, and it's failed science, too. So now it's moving towards this kind of woo-woo stuff, the quantum theories. And the only way to contextualize it and get everybody up to speed on it is through mythology, esoteric concepts, occult ideas. And so you need the universities to, get up to speed on that too, which is why, shows like us, we're trying to equip the church, the body of Christ, with the tools necessary to analyze all these things, because it's going to become more common Even like the story earlier about the 286. It's weird. A lot of numerology, a lot of weird stuff going on. There's the psyop layer from the whatever intelligence or institutions, and then there's the cultural response to it, the social engineers using their sorcery to get people to pay attention to stuff. There's a lot going on, but you add quantum into this mix, and there are endless possibilities, And I think that that level of imagination goes right back to the Tower of Babel, where God said, if they're able to continue, in Genesis 11, it says God basically said, if they're able to continue on this path, anything they imagine to do will be possible, and that's not a good thing for fallen man to wield. And that's why the languages were all mixed up there. But one little quote here. There are some skeptics over this whole thing. There's a quote here. The particular calculation in question is to produce a random distribution. The result of this calculation has no practical use, said physicist Sabine Hossenfelder. And she also noted that Google's similar 2019 quantum supremacy claim was challenged by IBM, which later demonstrated that a controversial computer could perform the same task under specific conditions. So again, how much of this is real, how much of this is marketing, but you can't deny the fact that a Google executive of developing quantum computers has come out and said, oh yeah, it works because of the multiverse. It works because of parallel universes and dimensions. And so here we are. We've been preparing for this moment for a long time, and it's going to just get weirder and weirder out there. So there you go.
Very fun.
Oh, and real quick, since we brought up the Pokemon stuff with the Luigi dude and quantum computing, the world is learning, Basil. I have a picture here it's a screenshot from, it's actually from Odyssey of an archive of the Face Like the Sun video that I published 8 years ago specifically. So that would have been 2016. And it was titled Pokemon Go and D-Wave Quantum Computer Connection, Google, Niantic, Privacy Concerns, tackling all the issues. And then I found this post on Instagram, which has, at the time, had 4,500 likes. I mean, that's a lot for Instagram. And it said this. This is from a few days ago. So, Pokemon Go was a scam. Niantic is using all the data from Pokemon Go to build one of the largest models for navigation ever built. When they wanted location info, they would put a Pokemon in that location, so all the people who were hunting Pokemon were just working as geo-navigators for free, and they were making money off the items like the Pokeballs, outfits, and all that. Am I the only one who didn't know this? Apparently, yes. Apparently, yes, she was the only one who didn't know this.
Yeah,
but just another reason to pay attention.
This was making the rounds last week. Just like this explosion of oh my gosh, all the Pokemon Go people were building an AI navigation product for the CIA. And I'm like, bro, it's been almost 10 years.
I know, it's been like 10 years for that type of stuff. But hey, everyone's on a different part of the journey, So you can't mock those folks. They're just learning about it. So, it is what it is. But there you go. There's your quantum computer. Keep an eye on it, folks. This does allow official scholarly science to really move into esoteric, occult, mythological, woo-woo type of stuff. And, it gives them permission, I guess, to open up that Pandora's box, literally, for everybody else. So keep an eye on it.
Yep. Okay, how are you doing on time, Gons? Do you need to
It's pretty low. This today got a little messed up, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to my computer, but my audio just went out. I don't know if you guys heard it, but it kind of it glitched out, and then I couldn't hear anything.
We were hearing you just sort of ramble for many minutes, and that's okay.
Many minutes?
Oh yeah, you'll hear it in the podcast version.
Okay. All right. The podcast version that I get to edit, so technically I could edit that out, but okay.
Yeah, you could.
I might have to.
You
won't,
that's fine. But it'll be fine. Let's do the googly eyes here. We'll save Fetterman for next episode. All
right, there's some interesting Fetterman stuff, but let's go ahead and do this this Basil story, which is, I have to say, it's suspicious.
Now, the legacy of Basil's googly eyes is many years old. This happened when we started doing video specifically, and I had to find a way to be on video. So I got the VR headset, I got the googly eyes on the outside of it, and people hated it. People still hate it, but it was too obscure, it was too silly, it was too
It
clown
upset
show.
a lot of people.
It upset a lot of people. It
Why
still
is a
upsets-
Christian wearing a VR headset?
Yeah,
There's a lot of that
there's
stuff,
like
too.
a lot of that. There's still people who are like, I would watch the show, but I hate your googly eyes. I'm like, all right, so you're very easily like dissuaded from important information. That's fine. That sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. So, and those who were with us with this watched it happen live. This very strange, again, whether or not I don't believe that I am some sort of, controlling the simulation. However, we have had our suspicions over the past few years if the simulation is not directly plugged into this show. But almost not immediately, but for the months after I adopted this very strange piece of my brand, googly eyes started becoming extremely popular in culture. Now, of course, they've always been around. They've always been a little arts and crafts, product. There's always been, they've been referenced here and there. But somewhere in 2020, they just exploded. There's the movie, Everything Everywhere,
all at once at the same time,
which
everywhere.
is a multiverse.
It's the multiverse movie. Yeah.
It's a multiverse movie, and googly eyes were like a very important motif in the movie. This whole thing, and then a bunch of celebrities started doing googly eye stuff, and then people all around the world started putting googly eyes on everything they could find, and everybody was sending it to me. I really appreciate it. There was even a couple other content creators online who have since put googly eyes on VR headsets and are now broadcasting in my costume. I should have copywritten or trademarked it or something, but that's what I get. What else? There was also anyway, so it's become some sort of thing. And when people ask why I do it, I have a lot of reasons for doing lots of things. Honestly, the googly eyes were perfect because it's kind of like a silly, kind of absurd, but also kind of had a little statement to it, is commenting on the idea of having your eyes wide open, but also the eyes being the window to the soul, but also the commercialized, manufactured illusion of being awake and the sort of, mass science.
It's your own esoteric messaging going on. They started putting it on flippy bots too. Remember that big old googly eye on the flippy? Yeah.
Right. About a year or two into the flippy update with my googly eyes, roboticists around the world, it just became a theme. They just all started putting googly eyes on their robots. It was very fun. So anyways, we like to keep up with the cultural phenomenon that is the googly eyes. This is coming from coin.com, KOIN.com, from Oregon. City of Bend to Vandal. Stop putting googly eyes on statues.
They called you out, Basil. You're doxxed.
The revolution has reached Bend, Oregon. The city of Bend is asking for a vandal who has been putting googly eyes on statues and roundabouts to stop. The vandalism has happened to eight statues so far, and the city is concerned it may damage them. Now, for those who are looking at the pictures of this, these are the exact googly eyes that I'm wearing.
The same ones. They could have been taken right off your VR headset.
They're the big ones. They're 6 inches wide. And he's going around putting them on statues, and to comedic effect. There's a statue of some deer with giant googly eyes. There's a giant metal sort of decorative ball that has googly eyes on it. It's very friendly, very fun. And the fact that the city is like, considering this like dangerous vandalism, and that putting the googly eyes on there, shows there's this bureaucratic spirit. There's this principality that's like, no, keep this absurdity at bay. Keep this humor away. And I think my theory is that the principalities, the powers, the worldly governors, the bureaucratic spirit, you'll hear more about that on Friday when an episode comes out, I think they know that the googly eyes are dangerous. They're a dangerous symbol for all the reasons that I kind of explain and deploy them myself. You know, there's some depth there. I think they activate something in people that the sort of bureaucratic, administrative, choking, oppressing spirit that has taken control of this country is very threatened, very, very threatened by this. I mean, we could maybe even go into why. I mean, the information we put out on this show has now become, we constantly complain about, like, hey, Russell Brand is taking our
well, see,
stuff.
that's
He's talking about all the same crazy stuff. Lots of people are doing a very similar sort of analysis, deconstruction. A lot of people doing similar things. The two things we have that I think are play a huge part in our continued oppression, if I can say such a thing. One of them is, I believe, our spiritual perspective on things, the supernatural perspective, the biblical prophetic perspective that we're only now, you can only get filtered through Russell Brand on like a large scale. The other side, and I don't know, maybe this is like a huge part of it, is the googly eyes. You don't see Russell Brand using googly eyes. He gets to come out with all this stuff. I think there's something about the bureaucratic, administrative spirit of this country, of the establishment, that is incredibly threatened by the image of googly eyes and what it might inspire in people, what it might unlock in their spirit, in their psyche. I think that there's something revolutionary about these giant googly eyes that the man doesn't want getting out there.
Perhaps, and it is also an indicator that separates us, as you said, and it's a good indicator, because if Russell Brand starts a stream or something, he's got googly eyes on, we
I will lose my mind.
I know. I'm waiting for that to happen, so we can have just a whole. We'll skip news talk that day. We'll just do Canary cope radio. We'll just cope for like 2 hours on air.
Will absolutely get driven out of my gourd if googly eyes become like a standard sort of symbol.
Maybe the establishment. Maybe the establishment is trying to get you to dox. Maybe they're trying to get you to unveil your face.
It's very possible.
We'll torture him through.
Oh, here's a fun little detail, Gons. That picture of the giant ball. Oh, they show the damage. The giant ball. It's actually a slideshow. You can go on the next frame to see the damage. So here, put it up on screen here. All right, I can put it up on screen.
I got
there
it.
You go. Yeah, the very next one, the damage that caused is that the cardboard backing of the googly eyes. You can see that the googly eyes were taped with Scotch tape, and whoever took them off just kind of grabbed them, ripped them off. The cardboard backing of the eyes is still Scotch taped to the statue, and that's the damage that
the damage was to the googly eye, and also this is highbrow art.
That's what I'm saying.
At least worth $2.5 million each.
Easy. If you go to the next one, you can see there's like a phoenix, a very interesting
phoenix
figure with the googly eyes.
Oh, look at that! Look at that! Interesting.
They're sending us
of course,
messages.
the deer.
Quote: while the eyes placed on the various art pieces around town might give you a chuckle, it costs money to remove them with care, not to damage
you serious,
the art.
Ben Dorgan? Come on, Ben Dorgan. Yeah, so my gosh. It's costs money. Come on.
And now look, this article itself is revealing something to people. Anybody who reads this and reads, oh, the city of Bend, Oregon says these googly eyes are damaging and cost money, and then they see the actual picture of like, what are you talking about? There's no damage here. What do you mean? Okay, it costs money for a guy to walk
you gotta pay a guy to get on a ladder or something.
Yeah, not even that on this one. I mean, most of them are
maybe the
level.
Phoenix guy.
You just walk right up, just rip them right off. Oh no, there's Scotch tape. Oh, the damage. It's this revelatory thing. Again, we see this in the media, and they don't even realize, the powers that be, don't even realize they're so used to just saying, oh, it's vandalism, it's damaging, oh, we cannot have this, and people be like, oh, I guess it's damaging, I guess it's vandalism, we can't have vandalism. But more and more we see the mainstream media putting these things out that all it does is reveal the absurdity of the system to people. I think this will do nothing but inspire more
googly eyes.
More
that's the psyop. I'm telling you.
Absolutely.
You know, at some point, they might be making statues of you, Basil.
Yeah, someday.
It might be like, this guy started the whole thing. Like, look at this archive going back to 2016.
About how it's, the googly eyes are a symbol. It's a, it's a revolution. It's a power to the people.
It's a talisman.
It's wake up. It's a talisman. It, of course, has been part of the fun part about trying to explain the googly eyes to people. But the more and more I see these things, the more I'm like, oh no. Oh no, it's true. It really is this powerful thing.
You probably said it and they're like, oh, that's true. We should make sure that this spreads and makes this guy uncomfortable.
According to the city, the adhesive used to stick googly eyes onto the statue's surface is what caused the damage.
Oh, get out of here,
Scotch
Bend
tape.
And speaking of getting, I gotta go, Basil. So
officials said removing the googly eyes has so far cost the city over $1,500.
$1,500.
I think Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy should go investigate the fraud, waste, and abuse going on in Bend, Oregon.
Doge, get on it.
It's costing $1,500 to take Scotch tape off the statues. All right, let's get out of here, Gons. You got to go pick up the kids. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Thank you to all of our producers coming in with your time, your talent, or your treasure. Of course, thank you to the Clippies.
Oh, yep.
That's okay. We can just scoot through. Let me just scoot through. Thank you to Courtney S. Thank you to Jolms, especially. Thank you for clipping, editing videos for us, and then posting them. Thank you, Kristen, as well, for your help. Thank you to the timestampers. Who are we thinking today? Let me guess. Jade Bouncerson?
Let me double check it.
Morgan E.
It's, I think it's Jade Bouncerson. Yeah,
Jade Bouncerson, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to the Sentinel for managing the Telegram channel. Folks, go to canarycry.party. It's a URL. It's our link tree. You can find buttons to the Telegram channel if you're a Telegram person. Thank you, Adam42, for the Discord. You can join the Discord there. Thank you to Jam for the links. Thank you to Joe for the feedback. Thank you to Clank for everything you do. And other than that, share the show, folks. Share it. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the share button. Share it with your friends. Christmas is coming up. Wrap up the podcast in a beautiful little bow. Give it to your family. Sit there. There's nothing more traditional, Christmas tradition, than sitting around the tree, listening to Canary Cry News Talk with the whole family celebrating the birth of Christ and the salvation of the human race. Is a very important thing to do. You can do it that way. You can do it whatever way you want. We call it rattling cages. All you got to do is walk right up to him, grab by the cage, and then you shake them.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Some farty. Oh, we had a message from him. We'll play.
I know. We got to catch up on a bunch of stuff Monday.
This is Tinfoil Hatman says, makes me want to put googly eyes around town. Lucky Luciano says, Basil, you will face God for your sins. Oh no. Malik says, Basil breakdown. Yep, it's going to happen. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Guns, do you have any last words?
Just a shout out to Cassius for doing the art. We'll properly thank you and show the art on Monday.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about Cassius's art. Thank you for that. All right, everybody. Remember us. Please remember us. Remember we're over here. Just remember us. And, if the Lord leads you to produce a show in any way with your time, your talent, or your treasure, go ahead and go to canarycry.support. All right, that's it, folks. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
We will hunt you down and make you pay.
Do not come back, you Nazi
Christmas.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Canary cry support.